Hi there, Jonathan Dawson here. You know, there are 4 primary objectives that every dealer has when it comes to growing their business. They want to increase the productivity of their team, they want to increase the profitability of their team, they want to increase the longevity of their team so they stay longer, and of course they want to increase the loyalty the customer has towards their team. Understanding the real market value of your customer is going to help you accomplish all 4 of those objectives. And in the following presentation that I gave live to the Georgia Automobile Dealers Association in the summer of 2015, I shared with the dealers and general managers in the room exactly how to identify their highest value customer and how to leverage that information to grow their business. You're about to enjoy that presentation. I invite and encourage you to have a pen and paper handy. You're going to want to take some notes as we explore the real market value of your customers. Enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe. Well, good morning, everybody. How are you? It's a good crowd, good-looking crowd. I love a crowd of beautiful people in the morning. Get some coffee in you, hopefully. Feeling some energy. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to be a presenter here at the GADA. I moved to Georgia just 2 years ago, relocated from Minnesota, where I spent 10 years serving the dealer body up in Minnesota. I did a lot of training for the Minnesota Auto Dealers Association while I was up there. Prior to that, I lived in Kansas, which is where I got my start in the car business. I started in a rural market, Emporia, Kansas. Many of you in the room may not have ever heard of Emporia, Kansas. That's okay. You've probably heard of Kansas City, you've heard of Topeka, you've heard of Wichita. Those are big metro areas that my little town, Emporia, Kansas, was in the middle of and competing against all the time. We had a small dealership that had a Toyota, Dodge, Chrysler, Plymouth, and Jeep all under one roof about the size of this space here in the show floor. And we sold used cars. And there was 5 salespeople at the dealership. When I got started, I was number 6 in the store. And they said, flooding the floor. Why are you guys flooding the floor? Right? I was the 6th man. And at that dealership, one guy had been there for 8 years. The others had all been there for over 10. And so as a brand new salesperson coming into the marketplace in a town I didn't know anybody, in a market I didn't know anybody, and in a brand and in an industry I didn't know anything about, I started selling cars in Emporia, Kansas. And I'll tell you very quickly, I got to the floor halfway through the month. They threw the keys, you know, the classic, you know, here's the keys to a car, go drive a car, get used to the product. If you see a customer, don't let them leave without us talking to them. And that was my training. And of course, starting out in the car business that way, I just had my personality to go off of, which I'm incredibly charming. And the more you get to know me, you'll see that. But so I sold 10 cars in 12 days, and I thought I was the stuff. So the next month, the beginning of the month, I set my goals at the beginning of the month. You all know what I'm talking about. What's your goal for this month? And I set a goal. Well, if I sold 10 in 12 days, I figured if you can sell 10 in 12 days, surely the next month the goal should be what? 35. Who said 35? Did you say 35? Somebody said 35. I like a big thinker. 35. No, I set a goal of 20, right? That only makes basic math sense. You sell 10 in half a month, so 20 in the whole month. Everybody in the room looked at me like I was from Mars. And I sold 12 cars that month. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense. I had a whole month, and I only sold 12. So I adjusted my goals for the next month, as everybody should, and I set the goal for 15, thinking maybe I had too big of an imagination, and I sold 3 cars, and I got fired my 3rd month. My 3rd month, which was really 2.5 months in the business, I got fired. My owner called me in the office. He said, Jonathan, you're sucking up my air conditioning. I didn't even know what that meant. You know, I'm 22 years old. I'm like, is that bad? Isn't that what air conditioning's for? You're sucking up my air conditioning. You're wasting space and you're wasting customers. You're not taking this business seriously. And I don't have time and I don't have a space for people like you. So pack up your stuff and get the heck out of my store. He used choice words that I don't repeat. And I was there, standing there, a 22-year-old kid freaking out, thinking, I'm a newlywed. I just moved to this town. I don't have any money. I just sold 3 cars. After 3 cars, they were all minis. They took out some taxes, insurance, and some other charges for being a new guy. And I owed the store money. You know, I literally sold 3 cars and got a check. They printed it. Don't ever do this to a salesman. It's insulting. They printed a check for 0.00 with a sticky note attached that said, you owe us $342.46 unless you're fired. Signed by the office manager. And I remember that morning looking at that check and then getting the page over the intercom to go see the general manager who was the owner who fired me. And I'm standing in his doorway with a check for 0.00 in my pocket, getting fired. And I put on my selling shoes and I said, I'm not getting fired today, by God. Not today. And I said, give me one more chance and I'll prove you wrong. I sold 10 cars my first 12 days. I sold 12 cars one month. The month after that, I sold 3 cars last month, but it'll never happen again. Give me another chance. He said, you have to the end of the day to prove me wrong. Now get out of my office. So I left this office, and here's just the true story of how this started and why what I now do is so passionate to me. I left that office, and I went out behind the dealership, and I had what I call my come to Jesus moment. And I really had an argument with God. Why am I here? This place sucks. There's no training. They don't care. And as much as I can say you've ever heard the voice of God, I don't know if you've ever had one of those moments in your life where you felt like God was speaking to you, but as much as you could possibly say that about anything, I remember in my spirit feeling this very thought. It's all your fault. Are you even watching what's happening down here? It's all your fault. They don't train. There's no traffic. The other salespeople hate me. There's no help. It's all your fault. And that's when I had a breakthrough moment, when I believed it was all my fault. When I came to a conclusion that everything that was happening to me because it was my fault, then I was no longer a victim of circumstance and I could do something about it. And that was the beginning of a commitment that I made as a 22-year-old kid who just sold 3 cars, had a check for 0 money, and got fired. I made a commitment. I said, if I can learn how to do this the right way, if you'll teach me, I will figure out how to do this in a way that honors you, that has integrity, a way that changes the way people buy cars. And I will become the #1 salesman at this dealership, the #1 salesman in this town, and I will change the way people buy cars. That came out of the mouth of a 22-year-old kid who just got fired for selling 0 cars. And that day was the day that it started. And it didn't take long for me to take the business very seriously and transform the business the way I was doing it. That led to me becoming the #1 salesperson in my dealership in less than 2 years. I dethroned a guy who had been Salesman of the Year for 13 years in a row. And I was the first one to ever take him down. Did it without a network. Did it with a town I didn't know anybody. Going up against people who've been in that town for 20 years, selling against me. And that dealership is now a client of mine because they saw what I did. I say that as a premise. I want to start with that to simply say, I love salespeople. And my mission is a very humble one. It's to save the world one salesperson at a time. Because I was that one salesperson who needed saving. And so I began to do some training. I started looking for resources. And I'm going to share with you some ideas today that stem from a philosophy of what I call Sellchology, selling through psychology, selling and marketing from psychology. And that was the beginning for me. And in this handout today, and some of you who are sitting towards the back, you may not have a handout, but I really encourage you to have it. The reason I went and prepared these handouts is because you're going to want to take notes. When I did this presentation at Digital Dealer just a few months ago, I did a similar presentation. It was rated the best presentation at Digital Dealer. And that's not easy to do. It was my first time presenting at Digital Dealer. In fact, if you want to Google Best Presentation Digital Dealer 2015, I'm at the top of the page. My video is there. In fact, if you want to Google 2015 GADA conference, my video is at the top of that page too. But I want to share with you guys the lifetime value of a customer. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how we can target market the highest valued customers that you could possibly generate as a business and as a dealer. What I hope to do is talk to the intuitive side of you. What I mean by intuitive is if I do my job right, you will agree with everything I say today. If I do my job right, you'll agree with everything. You'll say, that's right. I know that's right. Even if you've never heard it before, even if it's the first time you're hearing it, you'll say, I now know that I've always known that, but I've never known that I knew it. And that's intuitive learning. And that's what I want to focus on. Things that you already know are true. Let's take a look at the lifetime value of a customer. John Wanamaker said this famous quote, half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is I don't know which half. This is the challenge, of course, of all business, is to understand which half of our marketing is absolutely wasted. And I want to talk to you today about target marketing and understanding the lifetime value of a customer to make better decisions about how you market and who you market to, and to get the best ROI for your time, your energy, and your financial resources. Steve Jobs says, the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. That was me at 22 years old. I'm going to change the way people buy cars. Little did I know that here I am now doing exactly that. There are 3 questions you have to answer correctly, otherwise it's all a waste. You can take all of your ad budget, you can take all of your efforts, all of your energy, you can take all of your SEO, you can take all of the stuff you spend money on to attract customers, and until you can answer these questions properly, I think you're wasting a lot of money. And the more I show you what I'm talking about, the more you'll agree that that's absolutely true. What is the real market value or the lifetime residual value of a customer? What is that real market value? Who are my best and most valuable customers? And how do I attract a massive number of those customers? Let's take a look at that. Here is the real market value of my customer. When you're examining the real market value of a customer, let me share with you some metrics that you can use. Yes, I appreciate that. Yeah, make sure that some of these people have some handouts. That's great. Thank you. Here are the real market value of my customer. Here's some metrics that you can use, and I want to ask you some questions. When you look at a deal, when you look at a deal that you've just sold, are you looking at it from these perspectives? Because I find a lot of managers, what we do is we'll high five a guy who hits a 4 or 5 pound gross, right? High five, dude, you clocked it. Some managers, that's how they talk, right? Man, fantastic, great job, right? Or somebody has a hat trick day. Man, hat trick, high five. And that's fine, and I get it, and I understand. And I want us to all have profit, and I want us to all sell a bunch of cars. But here's the thing. Look at this, the cost of acquisition, the cost of maintaining, the ease of acquisition, the ease of conversion, the speed of the sale, the referral potentiality, the frequency of that sale, the upsell potentiality, the reoccurring income opportunity, and the initial profit. All of these factors combined help determine what the real market value of that one sale was. Because you may have a customer who you make $4 grand on the front. Fantastic, congratulations. But if they'll never send you a referral, and if they're never coming back, right? And if they're gonna beat the tar out of you on Yelp or on social media or something, then was that really a great deal? Maybe not. And you might have a salesperson who's really good at grinding out car deals and can put a 3-car day together, and you want to high five them for, hey, great job, 3-car day. But if that salesman does not generate any referrals off of that lead, if they don't convert, if none of those were self-generated, if none of those were repeat customers, then you paid for all of those customers to come in and buy. And if you're the one paying for the customer to come in to buy the car from the salesman, then I don't think it's worth the same high five as if the salesman went out and generated those 3 opportunities. To me, those are totally different cost of acquisitions. So what I want to do is I want to focus on some of these variables that determine a long-term vision on the real market value of a customer. And when you look at these, you see things like ease of conversion. See, I don't want to just say, did we sell a car? I want to say, how easy was it to sell that car? Because is there a stress or emotional cost to selling a car? Yes or no? Can there be? Yes or no? Absolutely. And so do some deals take 4 or 5 hours and we close the deal and we finally get the deal, right? But the salesperson is spun sideways and exhausted and frustrated, and so are 2 of your managers? And so now they're mentally checking out because the deal was such a grind, right? So we got a deal, but at what cost? There has to be another way we measure just the transactional value alone is not enough. Not when you start looking at the lifetime residual value and the real market value of your customers. So who are my best customers and my most valuable customers? Do all these customers have the same real market value to the dealership? Now, like I said, this is intuitive. Hopefully, if I'm doing my job right, you're not actually learning anything. All you're doing is understanding something at a deeper level, which is fine with me. I'm not here to teach you something. I'm here to help you learn it at a deeper level. Of all of these 6 here, if I say service customer, repeat, referral customer, prospected, walk-ins, and advertising base, these are the 6 basic types of customers that you can convert. They come from these 6 categories. And the average dealership, when I ask them to look at your metrics at a given month, if you sell 100 cars this month, my question to you would be, out of the 100, which of these 6 categories did they come from? Because if all 6 come from number 6, right, that's a completely different month than if all 6 came from number 1, right? Or all 100 came from number 1, I should say, I'm sorry. Right? If you had a month where you closed 100 car deals and all of them came from number 1, number 2, and number 3, all 100, would that be a completely different month than if all 100 came from number 5, number 4, and number 6? Totally different month. Does that make sense? And so what I want to do is start asking the question, what if we started looking at our business not just from how many cars did we sell last week or last month, or what are we on pace to sell this week or this month, What's our gross like, which is fine. We need to know these things. But what I'm saying is, what if we started asking a deeper question? What is the value of the deals we closed this month? What is the lifetime value of the deals we closed this week? And start celebrating some of those victories as well. Everybody in the room, if I asked you a simple question, how many in the room would love to have more repeat business? What's the obvious answer? Right? How many would love more referral business? Yeah? Right. So here's a question for you. How many of you want your salespeople to do better follow-up so that they get more repeat and more referral business? Yes? Okay. We all know that that would be better for our business. We all also know that those customers are higher valued customers. And yet, and here's a question for you, how many of you right now in the room does your pay plan pay differently to sell a repeat than it does a walk-in? Does your current pay plan sell? Do you incentivize the behavior differently? I saw a hand go up. Is that right? Fantastic. So do you mind very quickly for the room, what's an example of a difference that if I sell a repeat customer versus selling a walk-in, what's an example of a difference in the pay plan?
They get a $50 bonus at the end of the month.
A $50 bonus at the end of the month. Fantastic. Now, do you also, if you don't mind...
Per customer.
Yes, of course. And what was your name, sir?
William, myself.
William. Pleasure to meet you, William. So, William, a follow-up question, if you don't mind. Do you offer something similar when they sell a referral customer?
$25.
25. Fantastic. So here's my question to you. And by the way, I love that he's willing to do something, right? Most dealers don't do anything to distinguish the value when it comes to their compensation. But my follow-up question would be this. If you put a math to it, if you put a calculator to it and you asked, if I sold 10 repeat customers in a month compared to 10 walk-ins in a month, on the average, on the scale of value, is the value mathematically $50 difference in value? Yes or no? What do you think? Is a repeat customer only worth $50 more? Yes or no? No. Because if you go back to the 10 metrics, what's the difference on ease of sale? What's the difference on ease of conversion? Acquisition cost. Right? What's the difference there? What's the difference on speed of sale? What's the difference on referability? Right? So when you look at the 10 metrics of one category versus the other, what I find is that the average dealership does not distinguish in how they look at the customer and how they look at their pay scale and how they look at how they motivate their people. So what we do is we pay salespeople across the board the exact same to treat all 6 customers the exact same. But they're not all the same. Why are we doing that? And I'm not asking all of you to go back. Please don't go back and change your pay plan and say, I met this guy, John Dawson, he made us all change our pay plan. Don't do that. I'm simply asking you to think a little bit about the lifetime value of your customers. And what is their real market value? The answer is no. These are not all valued the same. These are not all valued the same. We know this intuitively. But in practice, we don't demonstrate that we value them differently. The average dealership doesn't. And what I want to do today, specifically for all of you, is give you some practical ways to target market, to attract, and to convert the highest possible customer value that you can get from your dealership so that you're operating at not only the highest profitability, but the highest efficiency, and if I can, because I love salespeople, at the highest possible enjoyment and satisfaction of doing this business. Let's take a look at each one of them. Which of the 2 categories would you say is more valuable? Which of the 2 categories is more valuable between these 2 groups that are up here right now? I want you to vote for me. If you currently think that service customer versus repeat customer, if you said, I have to sell one or the other, which one would I rather sell? If you would rather sell a repeat customer than a service customer, be brave and raise your hand. Repeat wins. Repeat wins. So a few of you put up your hands for repeat. Now, I'm curious, if you don't mind, Stephen, did you raise your hand? You meant service? Okay, somebody raised their hand for repeat wins. Repeat's more valuable? Who said that? A couple hands went up. Sorry, Charles? Why would you say repeat is more valuable?
Well, the things you've been stating. You've already given us several reasons.
You're saying ease of conversion, Joe?
Ease of acquisition, yeah.
Cost of acquisition, ease of conversion? Now, just curious, is a service customer cost of acquisition about the same as a repeat customer cost of acquisition, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Is the ease of conversion, converting one of your service customers to a sale, versus converting a repeat to a sale? Which one would be easier there? About the same. Repeat might edge them out, right? Because the repeat's already made that decision with you before. But here's where I would say, and some of you would probably agree, I think a service customer is more valuable. Because a service customer is a proximity customer. So I may have bought a car from you one time, right? But I don't do any service work with you because I live out of the market. So I might come back again and buy another car from you, but you're not getting the lifetime value of my service business. Does that make sense? But if I'm a service customer and I switch over and I buy from you, when I do that, I'm going to retain my service business with you. So from a lifetime value proposition, a service customer would edge out a repeat customer in all of the metrics. Service customers win. Again, some of you in this dealership, or some of you at your dealerships may have processes in place to optimize your service department. But what I would suggest to you is there are very simple, practical ways that you can bring it to a whole new level of service conversion, because the service customer is your most valuable possible conversion opportunity at the dealership. And so if we can maximize more of those, that's the objective. Let's look at another two categories. Which is, again, a better conversion? The salesperson goes out and prospects a lead, and the prospect comes in and buys, or a referral sends in a lead and they come in and buy. Which category do you think is more valuable? Referral is more valuable. Tell me why. Why is a referral more valuable?
So the person that referred them to them is kind of broken down the barrier that's going to be reduced.
That's exactly right. The endorsement from the friend or family member who referred him in should soften up the experience, right? Should make it, the ease of conversion should be better, right?
You have common ground. You have someone who's the person who sent them to you. You have common ground already.
Absolutely. However, let me ask it this way. Some of you in the room, if you had salespeople who were out self-generating and prospecting 10 extra deals a month, right? They were going out and creating those deals from going out in the community, local businesses, doing some things like that. If they were self-generating some deals, what is the value to you compared to a passive referral that the customer is the one sending them in? Does that make sense? So on the one hand, here this is active. The salesperson's out there creating it, learning how to make their own business. Here, the customer's the one generating it. Does that make sense? So what I'm saying is the referral has the endorsement, but the prospecting has the salesman's effort. Now, would we all like to have salespeople who go out and self-generate and prospect more opportunities? Well, I'm going to share with you how to do that as well today. I'm going to show you several examples. Walk-ins or advertising-based. A walk-in is a customer who shows up, just pulls in the lot because you happen to be their local Ford dealer, Toyota dealer, Chevrolet dealer, whatever. So they just pull in because they're looking for a car. Versus this person's responding to some of your advertising. They're responding to a radio ad. They're responding to a TV ad. They're responding to an online ad. They're responding to cars.com or some inventory ad. Which one's more valuable? Sorry, let me hear it. What do you think? Walk-ins more valuable?
Well, advertising base is more expensive to acquire, but it may be more valuable.
Why do you think the advertising might be more?
You've already resonated with them some way.
They're responding to something specific.
Like something you said.
So what's the ease of conversion? Which one is easier to get them to buy? The person who just showed up today, or the person who came in on a specific reason? Which one's easier to sell? Ad-based is easier to sell, correct? Right? But here's my next question. Which one has a higher potentiality for profitability? The walk-in, right? So here's the thing. Each of these categories has their own pros and cons. What I would want you to do, is I'm inviting you to do, is to look at each 6 category and say, wait a second, which one, if it were up to us, which one of these 6 do we think we should target market, put more energy, more resources, more time, more financial backing to? Which one should we give more of our energy and time to more consistently? And if you look at these 6 categories here, if I asked everybody in the room to put them in order of value to you, it wouldn't take long for you to realize that you can look at this list and see service customers are clearly more valuable than walk-ins. They're clearly more valuable than advertising-based conversions. In fact, repeats would outrank these 2. Referrals would outrank these 2. Prospected would probably even outrank these 2. And yet, my question for you is this. Where does our time, energy, and financial resources usually go? Right now, when you think about your manager meetings and your marketing meetings and your conversations about traffic, what do you talk about the most? Which two people? How do we get more advertising? And how do we get more walk-ins? Almost every dealer meeting I've ever been in when it comes to marketing, all of the time and energy is spent on how do we generate more of this and how do we get more of this. When I share this with them for the first time, they said, John, that makes so much sense, but I guess the question is, how do I more effectively target 1, 2, 3, and 4? And that is where this presentation takes on a life of its own, as I'm about to share with you exactly how to do that. And once again, if you don't have a handout, this is where you're going to want to make sure you start taking some extra notes, because I'm going to show you specifically how to target your highest value customers. How do I attract a massive number of the most valuable customers that we could sell at the dealership? Consider the following. I want you to look at your communication within the dealership. Do you talk about, on a regular basis, in your management meetings and with your sales staff, do you talk about the lifetime value of your customer? Do you talk about the idea of a customer being more valuable if they're a service conversion, repeat or referral? Do we talk about that on a regular basis? Our pay plans, do we currently incentivize for the behaviors that we want? Because if your pay plan does not distinguish between these 6 categories, then I guarantee your people will not distinguish between them either. Now let me give you a for instance, and I'm not asking this to be your pay plan, but I'm just saying think out loud for a second. I'm going to think out loud for a second, okay? Let's say, for example, that Charles is a brand new salesman, okay? He just started selling cars at my dealership. And at my dealership, we understand the real market value of customers. So just for a second, imagine this conversation with Charles, the brand new guy. Charles, I want to share with you how our pay plan works. It's pretty simple. If you sell any customer who comes in through the service department and decides to look at a car with you and buy a car, if they buy a car within 3 days of being in our service department, I pay you $500 guaranteed. Just so you know. Now, Charles, as you stay in our dealership and as you acquire your own customer base, if your customers come back to you again and again and again, I'll pay you $500 guaranteed for those as well, flat, guaranteed. You can never make less than that for selling your own customer. Now, if you happen to get a referral customer, which is somebody who knows somebody that comes in, if you happen to get a referral customer, I pay you a $400 flat guaranteed on that. Absolutely guaranteed for that customer. Okay? It's very simple. Now, also, if you happen to self-generate or prospect a customer, you go into the community, your church, you share the word with what you do, you tell people who you are, you go on Facebook, let people know what you do. If you self-generate a lead that comes in and sets an appointment because that you prospected that person, not somebody that came through my BDC, not somebody that came through my advertising, but you generated that opportunity, if you happen to do that, I'm going to pay you $400 as well. But here's the thing, Charles. If my BDC sets an appointment for you, it's $150 because I paid for that customer, you didn't. And if a customer just shows up on the lot without an appointment and they didn't come in to see you, I'll pay you $200 because I paid for those people too. Now, if I had that conversation with Charles, the new guy, do I have to convince him of the value of prospecting? Do I have to tell him he should follow up with his own customer base? Do I have to have that conversation with him, or does he now understand? Do you guys follow what I'm saying? Now, please, I'm not asking that to be your pay plan, but I'm saying think conceptually from that way. How easy is it for me to now get him to want to prospect? But if my pay plan pays 25% no matter who you sell, then he's going to stand on the point, stare out the window, and he's going to wait for customers to come in. Because he's just waiting for you to send him people. Because it doesn't cost him anything to do that. And he makes the same without any effort. And if you pay 2 people the same thing, but one requires effort and one requires no effort, I guarantee everybody's going to move to the no effort category because they're making the same for no effort. We have to consider these things. Look at our budget allocation. Again, I'm not speaking to any one particular person in the room, but I'm asking questions here. Look at, for example, how much you allocate for a bird dog right now. The average dealership across the country, it's $100. You might be less than that. $100 bird dog. But there are dealers, and maybe even in this room, that'll pay vendors $299 to acquire a customer for you. You'll pay a vendor company $300 to send you the lowest valued possible customer who has the least loyalty, the lowest potentiality for referral, the lowest potentiality for ongoing business. The customer who comes in and no matter what price they already got from the vendor, they still want a better deal, and we'll pay that vendor $300 to send in that person. But when our own customer goes out of their way to send in their friend or family, we want to pay them $50 and charge the salesman half. We are de-incentivizing the desired behavior for the highest possible valued customer. And I think we do this to ourselves and then wonder why our people don't care about prospecting. And they don't care about referrals. And they don't follow up. Because we're not getting them to think from a business's perspective about the lifetime value of a customer. Where's your management's focus right now? How do I attract more service leads? Some of you in the room may already be using some equity mining tools. If you're not, I encourage you to please make an investment in some equity mining tools. There are plenty of CRM tools, software companies out there that will show you how to tap into your customer base and understand where people are in the conversion rate. Here we have assign and train key personnel to convert service. At your dealership right now, if you have a dedicated person who is only responsible for looking for opportunities from service and bringing them as an introduction into the sales process, if you have somebody dedicated, that's their job. Can I see a show of hands right now? So look around the room for a second, guys. Hands up. So you guys have dedicated conversion opportunity people, right? And again, those of you who didn't raise your hand, I'm going to ask you to consider, if that is one of our highest possible valued customer, why wouldn't we dedicate some resources to somebody to convert from there? Wouldn't that make sense? Here, provide payment upgrade options to those customers who are in service and communicate with the service writers about how to do a proper introduction from somebody who would be eligible. Do we talk about this on a regular basis at our dealership? Do we have management meetings about how to convert from service? Because if we don't, we're missing out on one of the highest valued possible customers. So how can we increase our service conversion by 300 to 500% at some of the dealers I've worked with? Let's look at some examples of how you can do it. Here's an example of a hang tag that's coming off of a mirror. Do you currently use something like this to introduce customers who are in service that the opportunity is there for them to upgrade their vehicle from their service drive to a brand new vehicle from our lot? Here's another example of a hang tag. So if you're currently using something like this, a marketing material in the car from the service drive to convert or introduce customers, if you're currently doing that, can I see a show of hands right now? You're currently doing that. Okay, about 3 or 4 in the room. There's some opportunity for the rest of you. Consider this. Do you have literature available at the service desks where the service writers are? Do you have literature available that a customer can pick up and understand the advantages of trading out of their vehicle right now? And is there some incentive to do so right now? Is that located right there, visible for customers to take advantage of? Here's a board, a signage board. Do you have signage in the customer lounge area, or signage as customers are leaving the service department to come into the dealership's main area, the showroom? Do you have signage that says, hey, we're interested in your vehicle. Would you be interested in talking to us? Do you currently have signage displayed? Here's another example of signage. This is actually sitting there with cars that are target vehicles that the dealership is looking for. So those target vehicles are being advertised to the service waiting area. Are you doing something like that to increase your service leads? Are you doing free gifts? So these little cups here, okay, these are a couple of bucks. Inside each of these, right, is information about why you should upgrade and what we're looking for right now, right? The reasons you should take advantage of our upgrade. So these little investments, these $2, you put some of these in your service customer vehicles that are target vehicles that you're interested in. That $2 investment, how many cars have to come from service to sales to make up for a $2 value proposition like this? And by the way, that's your marketing going with them everywhere they go, from home to work. That $2. Could we take some of the money we spend right now to attract walk-ins, some of the money we spend right now to attract internet customers, could we take some of that money and instead of spending 20 grand to convince strangers to come in who don't like and trust us and want to pay us nothing, could we instead take some of that 20 grand and buy a couple of $2 cups and give it to some people that already trust us and like us? Would that be a better investment than the 20 grand thrown into the newspaper? Here's Donna. She's one of the examples of what I'm talking about, a service conversion. Hire somebody with a charming personality, a great smile, and a bubbling attitude. That's who you're looking for the service conversion. You want somebody who's a customer service person. You don't want a salesperson for the intro. You want a customer service-oriented person, somebody with a great smile and a great attitude. How do I attract more repeat leads? Again, using equity mining tools. Consider your pay plan. We talked about the value of that. Offer special loyalty incentives. For example, right now, at your dealership, I'm curious, if I'm a repeat customer to you and I come to buy a car, on the deal structure, do I get a discount? Do I get a discount for being a repeat customer right now as part of your normal process? Is anybody currently offering customers who are repeats a discount as part of the process? Anybody? No. So what's happening is this. I'm coming in and having to start from negotiating from Jump Street, and I have to come in, basically what you're saying is, I have to come in and negotiate with you from the same way you treat any other Joe Blow off the street, instead of starting off by giving me a good faith $250 for being a repeat customer. I mean, to me, it seems like we should be looking at ways, instead of discounting $4,000 off to the customer who's the internet customer who wants to beat you up, why don't we look at telling our own customers, look, we want to reward you for being our customers and offering some incentive for them who are already your customer. And then create unique brands and marketing campaigns. This is where the whole workshop is about to take a left-hand turn. Here's where it gets a little bit crazy. How can a salesperson create 400% more repeat sales? Let's look at some unique examples. I'm going to share with you what I teach salespeople to do. I teach them how to build unique brands that separate them from everybody else in the marketplace. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Meet Wayne. Wayne is the Pickle Man. Wayne, the Pickle Man. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever met the Pickle Man, but up here I have examples of my students and the branding that they do to grow their business. That is Wayne, the Pickle Man. Wayne is a Ford salesman in Minnesota, and after selling cars for a little while, what he realized that if you're a white guy selling Fords in Minnesota, this is just the reality of the demographic of the marketplace, and your name is Wayne, there are 37 other Waynes selling Fords in Minnesota. There just are. So when you're Wayne selling Fords in Minnesota, you are vanilla in a sea of vanilla. And that is not a great way to build a business. However, Wayne became the Pickle Man. And if I may, at the risk of looking like a moron, this is the hat that the kids get at the dealership. Wayne, the Pickle Man, gives away a free huge jar with every car. And that's the coloring contest. And when you buy a car from Wayne, you not only get the hat for the kids and the coloring contest for the kids, but also here's the green keychain that the Pickle Man gives out to his customers. Why? Because Wayne realized that just like Geico recognized that if they could add a lizard to their campaign, oh my, you need a photo, don't you? You want to use this against me in future? You know what? I have no shame. It's one of my charming traits that I have. I'm not afraid. Wayne the Pickle Man gives away a free huge jar with every car. I won't get into the full story of Wayne, but let me give you the fast-forwarded version of Wayne. Wayne went from selling cars and struggling at a Ford dealership to in 1 year becoming the #1 salesman at his dealership once he became the Pickle Man. 2 years later, he made $248,000 selling Fords in Minnesota as Wayne the Pickle Man. Not only that, he sold 48 cars in February with 3 feet of snow on the ground. People came in and asked for Wayne the Pickle Man. They didn't ask for Wayne, they asked for the Pickle Man. Gedney Pickles drop ships pickles to the dealership. Gedney Pickles paid for 2 billboards on either side of Interstate 35 that said, "Go see the Pickle Man at Forest Lake Ford." The Pickle Company paid for the billboards. Here is the official singing salesman. In Nashville, Tennessee, he is the official singing salesman. Here's a salesman who built his brand around being a singer in Nashville, Tennessee. He's the official singing salesman. His third month, he sold third month in the business, sold 33 cars and was the #1 salesman at his entire dealership at Crest Honda. Started branding from his very first meet and greet. The official singing salesman. Here's Kenny Landrum. I'm going to show you Kenny's story a little bit later, but here's Kenny's keychains. Here's his other keychains. So by the way, these keychains are for repeat customers. These keychains are for people who just test drive a car with him or buy a car for the first time. These are his Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches. You can see here the branding. It says compliments of Kenny Landrum. Chick-fil-A co-branded coupons and gave them to Kenny Landrum to give away chicken sandwiches for Kenny's customers. That's his business card. That's Kenny's t-shirts he gives to long-term repeat customers. Loyal customers get a shirt from Kenny. Here's a salesman spending money to invest in his own business, to grow his book of business because he understands the lifetime value of customers. Here's some more examples. This is Miss Monti. She's at Ed Voiles here in town. Miss Monti, her brand is making things super simple. She says, my service is so good you'll think pigs are flying. That's her brand, and that's me and Miss Monti. Here's King Stinson, another salesman here in town. He gives his customers the royal experience. Every customer who buys a car gets a crown, does a video with the crown, does a photo with the crown, Instagrams, Pinterests, Facebooks, and YouTubes the video with them in the crown, endorsing King Stinson. King Stinson in 2013 made $52,000 in 2013. In 2014, he made $170,000 here in Atlanta selling cars. 170. He added 120 grand to his income. I'm going to show you how he did it. A single salesman who'd been in the business for 5 years, 1 year later, added 120 grand. How? By thinking lifetime residual value. Here's a salesman who built his brand around something he's passionate about, superheroes. Here's another one with superheroes. Here's somebody, Milton Martin, Butch is not here this morning. Milton Martin Honda, Butch Miller. This is Adam Saviors. Adam texted me last month. Adam, again, is another example of a salesman who was selling 12 cars a month, doing okay. Last month, 23 cars, #1 salesman in the dealership. He's already got 14 cars out so far for this month, and they start halfway through the month because they start their month on the 16th. So he's got 14 cars out from the 16th till now. Adam Saviors. His brand is Saving with Saviors. Those are coupons. That's Red Lobster. That's Chickfila. That's the Longhorn Steakhouse. That's a car wash. He has personally collected over $50,000 in free merchandise from local businesses that have given him merchandise to give to his customers. And his brand is Saving with Saviors. Here's Vinnie Bag of Donuts. Vinnie Bag of Donuts gives a bag of donuts for every customer who buys a car from him. That was a nickname he had since he was a kid. Right? You donut get a better deal from anybody else. Vinnie Bag of Donuts. How do I attract more referral leads? Let's look at that for a second. I want to help you, help your people understand the value of referrals. Training on referral techniques. When was the last time you had a training class at your dealership just on referrals? When was the last time you had a conversation with your team on the value of referrals, how to ask for referrals, and the 8 or 10 different ways that you can generate more referrals as a sales professional? The average dealership does not even talk about these things. And then we wonder why our people are not doing these things. Because whatever we give attention to grows. Whatever we do not give attention to dies. That's true in your marriage. That's true in your relationship with your kids. That's true in your relationship with your customer. It's true in your relationship with your salespeople and their customers. Whatever we give attention to will grow. If you want to see more repeat referral business, we got to give attention to that business. Consider pay plan changes to focus on referral sales. Offer special referral incentives to your customers and create unique targeted marketing campaigns specific for referrals. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Can salespeople increase their referral leads by 1,500%? Yes, they can, and I'll prove it to you right now. Look at some of these examples. Here's a salesperson. He says, it's one of the productive weeks I've ever had in the car business. Update, referral from customer yesterday is sold. I'm now up to 8 referrals sold this month, and I still have appointments. This is the most I've ever done referral-wise in the car business in 5 years. A salesman with 8 referrals so far for the month. Here's another one, King Stinson again. King Stinson says, right now I'm at too many to count. I have to check my referrals and get back to you. 7 from Facebook, 7 referrals, 2 repeats. I didn't even realize it was that many. Now, who's basic math here? Who's good at math? How many is that total? That's 16. Just in the room right now, 16 self-generated deals. You have salespeople at your dealership who are struggling to sell 16 that you pay for. How would you like to have salespeople who sell 16 that they generate? This can happen for your store too if you start thinking this way. How do I attract more referral leads? Salespeople need to learn how to do proper follow-up. How to do follow-up that creates engagement. Because what we do is we tell our salespeople, you got to follow up with your customers. You need to call your customers. You need to mail your customers. You need to stay on top of your customers. But that doesn't create engagement. And when you do follow-up without engagement, your salespeople lose interest. Because most of your salespeople are hunters and not farmers. Okay? So when you tell a salesperson to follow up, it's like telling a hunter to go farm. The problem is they go out one day excited about the idea of farming for the day, and they go cast a bunch of seed. And then what happens the next day when they come out and they realize there's no plants, is they go, well, that didn't work. And they ignore the field. What you got to do is teach them how to get results from the follow-up that they do. Get them to think like a farmer, but be able to get results like a hunter. Let me show you what I mean. Here's a stamp from, this is Kenny Landrum again. Here it says, your salesperson is no longer in sales with our dealership, and I would like to take this opportunity to introduce myself to you. Please accept this coupon for a free Chick-fil-A sandwich on me, and I look forward to meeting you and serving you soon. He's mailing them a Chick-fil-A sandwich for free that cost him nothing because Chick-fil-A gave him the sandwich coupons. He's doing this as a way to add value to a stranger to create some reciprocity from that stranger, so they'll be more likely to take his phone call when he calls them and follows up. Did you get a check? Give me a call. This is one of the follow-up techniques that I teach salespeople to do. Imagine, for example, that you have a salesperson who sends out 20 pieces of mail every single day, right? And they just send out mail, and get no response. They use my strategy, and they mail out their mail, but they put at the bottom of it, did you get a check? Give me a call. Did you get your check? Now, Wesley, if you opened up your mail at the home and you saw a letter, and at the bottom it said, P.S., when you get this, give me a quick call. P.P.S., did you get your check? Are you going to call me? Yes or no? Absolutely. And when he calls me, here's what it's going to sound like. He's going to say, hey, John, I'm calling you because I got this thing in the mail, something about a check. What's the check all about? I say, oh, Wesley, last month, our dealership sent out like $5,000 in referral checks to our customers who sent people in to see us. If you had sent somebody in to us last month, I want to check my records and confirm that. Because if you're supposed to get a check, I want to send you a check. Did you send anybody in to me last month so I can make sure to get you a check? He's going to say what? No, I didn't. I say, you know what? That's my fault, not yours. Let me help you. What's your payment right now? He says, I'm paying $389 a month. I tell you what, here's my personal promise. I want to make next month's payment to you to make it up for you. Let's do this. Let's find 4 people you know. You guys see where I'm going with this? This is follow-up that generates engagement. And when your people understand how to create engagement, they get excited about follow-up. And when they get results from that, they get excited about duplicating those results. These are my students sending me their follow-up mail. Look, when they learn this thinking, I don't have to convince them to follow up. They now want to follow up. They just want to know how to do it better so they can get better results. And these are my students showing me their follow-up. Now, this is one salesman. This is Frederick here. Frederick's at a Dodge dealership. Now, I want you to see what this is. That's 106, okay, 106. This is a printout. Here's what this is. At your dealership right now, do you teach your salespeople that they should at least ask for referrals when they sell a car? Yes or no? Can I see a show of hands? Just show of hands. You teach them to ask for referrals. Yes or no? Yes? Okay, fantastic. At your store right now, William, if you don't mind, at your store right now, when they ask for referrals, how many names and numbers do you think they get?
5, 6.
Maybe 5 or 6. Who in the dealership right now knows how many your people are getting right now? Does anybody know how many your people are getting? You don't know. You know why you don't know? Here's why. No offense. Because you don't pay attention to it. Because you don't ask. Because there's no incentive. Because you don't say the reward for this week, whoever gets the most referrals from a single customer gets this. You don't do that. And so the guys don't think about it. When they don't think about it, you don't get it. But I'm telling you right now, on the average salesperson doesn't even get 2 names and numbers for every car they sell. They don't even get 2. But when they learn how to do it right, and they're inspired to do so, that's 106 from one customer at point of sale. And that is just getting started. Here is 123 from one family at point of sale. That's all names and cell phone numbers. That family sat down and wrote down 123 referrals for the salesman at point of sale while they were at the store. Here is 142. That lady's an 800 Beacon who co-signed for her daughter. That's her other daughter. After the purchase, they sat down and emptied out their cell phones, 142 names and numbers for the salesman to say hi to. 142 from one customer. Here is 163 from 2 hospital employees. 163 names and numbers from one customer at point of sale. Here is 297 from one customer. Those are all cell phone numbers, people. That's one customer emptying out her phone 297 times to the salesperson so that they can prospect and work by referral. And that's not even the record, by the way. The current record in the country is 352. If Butch Miller was here, he could testify one of his salesmen has the record of 349 at his dealership. But 352 is the national record right now from one customer at point of sale. So how do we do this? How do we teach our salespeople how to do better prospecting? How do we get them to go out into the community? How do we get them to grow their sales? Here's some ideas. Sorry. Train on prospecting techniques. At your dealership right now, how often are you talking about the power of prospecting? Are you talking about how to go out into the community, how to generate leads and traffic for your dealership? Are you talking about this stuff with your team? Because if you're not talking about it, they're not thinking about it. And if they're not thinking about it, they're not doing it. Because whatever gets attention grows. And whatever we don't give attention to dies. And these are your most valuable kinds of sales. Let's put attention where attention should go. So train on prospecting techniques. Offer prospecting incentives. Create unique targeting marketing campaigns and consider pay plan changes. Let's look at some examples there. Can salespeople increase their prospecting leads by 5,000%? Yes, they can, and I'll prove it to you. Here's how. Here's a salesperson at Athens Ford out in Athens, I guess. Yeah, Athens Ford. Out in Athens. This is Mark. Mark makes it easy as his brand. That's the easy button. These are racetrack coupons from local racetrack. These are coupons from other local businesses, and that's some more Chick-fil-A right there. You guys are catching on. Chick-fil-A likes to be generous. Right? Those are some Chick-fil-A coupons. So he goes into the community, and he gives out these coupons that other businesses give him. He gives them out to create goodwill and generate opportunities. Here's a dealership that says, get free barbecue sandwiches for 1 year. This car is parked in front of the barbecue house. Okay? Here's how it works. When you walk in and buy barbecue from the restaurant, they put a slip in your to-go bag that says, would you like free barbecue for a year? Go test drive a car from Ed Denivelis. If you buy a car from Ed Denivelis, they will give you, from the dealership, a certificate for a year of free sandwiches. All we're doing is redirecting our bird dog program. We're taking the bird dog and giving it to the business to reciprocate and give back to a local business. When they send in leads that buy from us, we turn around and buy a year of free sandwiches from the barbecue place. It's a win-win-win. That's Ed Denivelis, and that's the certificate that goes in every to-go bag. Now, Ed also did this with car washes. Auto Buff Car Wash in his town, he has 6 car washes. On the receipt of every receipt that comes out of a car wash, it says, test drive me for a free car wash. Test drive a car with Ed Denivelis. Buy a car and get a year of free car washes from Ed Denivelis. He also has big poster signs at every Auto Buff saying if you want free car washes for a year, go buy a car from Ed Denivelis. Here is a car seat safety check. Kenny Landrum again. This is on his Facebook page here. This is a car seat safety program that he put together for his community. Let me show you what happened with this car seat safety program that Kenny put together. So he says, I want to thank Jonathan for helping me create this group and showing me different ways to grow myself in the community as well as personal branding. So this is a public service that is on the television. Do you see that? That's on the TV. This is a commercial, a PSA commercial, introducing Kenny Landrum as the sponsor and host of the car seat safety check for Bowling Green, Kentucky. So the salesman now has his own commercial, free. Here is the advertisement that got sent out through all the different campaigns for all the different Facebook groups that got sent out. Here is him getting the endorsement, and there's the TV crew, and shooting a commercial, okay, for KYTC. He was on the news. Here's him getting a check from the Kiwanis Club for $500, donation to buy car seats to support the car seat safety program. Here is a local police chief talking about the program and inviting people to the dealership for the car seat safety program. So this is, again, on the news. Free PSA, public service announcement, on the news. And that's the billboard that was paid for by somebody other than the dealership to market the campaign. He was on the radio, TV, billboards, social media, all because he decided to give back to his communities. Kenny Landrum, a salesman, did this. Here's a Cargill program for a company up in Minnesota, and this is this dealership creating a preferred purchase program for Cargill. Here's one for American Airlines Credit Union. Here's one for a church. Here's one for a Hennepin County Medical Center. Here's one for an apartment complex. All of these programs are preferred purchase programs set up for local businesses where the dealership is promoting themselves into a network, and those network of people are coming in asking for a particular salesman. Because if you have a salesman who sells a car to somebody who's a property manager of an apartment complex, you want to leverage that relationship. I mean, for example, if I may, okay, if you own an apartment complex here in town, I, as a salesman, would want to be the official salesman for your entire apartment complex, so that everybody who lives at your apartment complex knows to come in and ask for me personally. Does that make sense? And I want to share with you that this stuff works. Let's take a look at Ryan's testimony here. This is on my six-figure sales group. This is a private Facebook group for salespeople. 2,000 salespeople from all over the US and Canada are part of this network online. And this is him sharing his story online. So here's what he says. I came into the business July 17th, 2014, knowing absolutely nothing, so about a year ago. He goes on to say thank you to all the people, including to Sellchology, little soft plug there, right? He says, but what really caught my attention was self-branding. One night, late at Ruby Tuesdays, I was dubbed the public service car salesman. He came out of the fire department, so I gave him the brand public service salesman. I learned to become Googleable, build a website, learn to use hashtags, and what promotional items work versus which ones don't. During all this, in the midday conference call Jonathan hosted, talking about how to become free from the lot, he talked about setting up deals with apartment complexes and their tenants. I was sold, and that day I prepared my first complex. Here's what he says. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I went to the first complex and asked for their business, asking if they would pass out my flyers to all the residents. And for everyone that buys a car, I'll give the property manager $200. When they reach $1,000, I would host a party with the money. They instantly bought in. So a $200 bird dog goes back to the apartment complex in the form of creating a block party fund, okay? That was 4 weeks ago today. Here's my results. 24 apartment complexes, 3 restaurants, 1 car wash, totaling 11,286 people in my pipeline. And that's without the restaurants or car wash, because there's no way for me to know how many folks will go to those places. But for my first month doing this, here's what he says. My first month doing this, I sold 14 and a half cars, and all were 100% self-generated. No lot ups. 2,600 in referral fees. A salesman less than a year in the business. Here is an example here, if I may. This is my friend Randy. All right, Jonathan Dawson here. I'm at Thornton Road Hyundai, and of course I got my man, the All-Star.
Car All-Star.
The Car All-Star, Randy Brady, and of course the ladies in the back. Wave. Hi. That's the BDC ladies. And we're all here because Randy wanted to share a little bit about what he's got going on. What's this, Randy?
These are my referrals. Since the Six-Figure Sales Conference at March 12th and 13th, I started doing this. I learned a lot from you guys. I came in and I had a whole new mindset. And me and John just tallied them up. And what was it again? What was
1,017
I can keep
names and numbers. 1,017 names and numbers, cell phone numbers from customers who he sold.
I can just keep flipping
a car to. That's.
They're all here. I'm not worried about selling a car, guys. This is the easiest way to do this business right here. This is the fun way. It's the easiest way. It's the best way to make gross. It's awesome. I just wanted to share it with everybody.
How did last month go?
It was awesome. 25 and a half. Took a week off. So it's been great. It's been great.
Working by referral?
Exactly.
You love it?
Referral. I love it. I love it.
Self-generation.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
There you go. That's why we do what we do, because we want you guys to all live the good lives. The good life?
It's an awesome life.
That's right. All right. Take care. Bye. All right, so we just realized that some of you might wonder, what are we going to do with these names and numbers? So let's tell them phase one. What's phase one, Randy? What do we do with the names and numbers?
We give the names and numbers, and when I deliver the vehicle, I'll go outside. I do a quick video with the people. Hey, I'm the Car All-Star here from Thornton Road Hyundai. Your friends or family here standing with me, say Miss Johnson. She just purchased a car, Miss Johnson, or do a quick testimonial. Randy was great. He got me in and out, the perfect payment, all that good stuff. And all I do is I send a mass video, co-video to everybody here.
Now you're not doing a mass video though. You're not.
Right.
You're not texting everybody at once.
No.
It's an individual text.
Yes, yeah, it's a co-video. They all get sent the same video. They open it up, check it out. We'll give them, who to call, who to talk to, all that good stuff, and you know, it kind of works itself after that, after
So-
you send that video.
Yeah, so we basically create the video testimonial with the client endorsing the salesperson, Randy the All-Star, Carl All-Star. We endorse him, and then that video gets texted individually to each person using a link, whether you use co-video or YouTube, but you're texting them a link asking them to open it up and watch the video. And then from that, it creates leads and opportunities, right? People come in and
Yeah, all by itself. It's awesome. They call in, I say, hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, I saw your video you sent me. It was really awesome. I loved it. When would be a good time for me to come in? It goes on from there. I get 100 from them, I get 100 from them, and it just keeps going. It's awesome. Hey guys, it's the Carl Star here again from Thornton Road Hyundai. I'm standing here with the Thomas family. They just purchased a new 2015 Hyundai Sonata. All right.
Yes, sir.
How was y'all experience here at Thornton Road?
Man, it was awesome, man. In and out, you know, got everything done.
That's right.
Come see your boy.
I love it, guys. Come see me. 770-289-7999.
All right, next question is, what are you going to do phase 2 though? What's the next step with this list? You actually want to go through and call some people.
Yes, I'm going to go, now that I've sent them a video, the people who do call, maybe we don't sell, we send another video saying, hey, we know you're interested. You know, we got this sale going on, or this incentive, or this special going on this vehicle that you were looking at, all that good stuff. But what I want to do now is I want to go through every one of them, all 1,007. I'm going to do 40 a day for the next 25 days.
1017.
That's right. And I'm going to go through, call all of them. Maybe they got the video, we're busy, didn't get to that, it got pushed in the back. I want to call them again, not only let them know I'm here, not only let them know about the specials going on, I also want to know about the $100 referrals coming in. Everybody wants to make money. You can't beat it.
So you're going to make 40 phone calls a day for 25 days
That's
to,
right.
to the list.
That's right.
Okay, there you go. So this process then, what he does is he takes those leads that he got, 1,000 names and numbers, and he texts them each one an individual video of their customer, his customer endorsing him to those leads. Then that generates phone calls, and he sells cars from that. And that's the basic idea. What is the real market value of a customer? If you can answer these questions now, then you can leverage these opportunities at your dealership. What is the real market value of your customers? When you go back to your dealership, I want you to think about this and ask these questions. Who are my best and most valuable customers? How can we attract a massive number of those customers? Because what I want for your salespeople is what I call the good life. I want them to work by repeat referral. Here's what I tell my students. All I want for you is this. I just want 40 cars a month working 4 days a week. Is that too much to ask? 40 cars a month working 4 days a week. Is that too much to ask? And here's the reality. I have students who do just that. Who that's exactly what they have now, the good life selling cars, working by repeat referral, appointments, and self-generation. And your people can do it too. Not all of them will. Some will. Some will. And for those that can be saved, my mission is simple, to save the world one salesperson at a time. And so if you like what I'm doing here and you would like this video and this audio sent to your dealership so you can share it in a sales meeting or share it with your sales managers, my contact information is on the flyer or the handout that you have. I would like you to please reach out to me with your name, your email address, and I will send you the audio and the file that I have here, including the actual deck of the PowerPoint itself. And this is me, and I'm Jonathan Dawson. It's been my unique pleasure to visit with you all today about the lifetime value of a customer. I hope you've enjoyed it, and it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much. Yeah, I would like to open it up some questions, if I may. Please go ahead.
Jonathan, are we okay legally in sending those texts out?
Yes. Yeah, here's the thing. This is a text, the phone number came from the customer, they gave you the customer. So if I gave you Joe's number and said call Joe or text Joe, you can do that. And in fact, the way that it works, because first of all, you don't ever do blast texts, right? So the salespeople, again, I train them, you don't take 10 phone numbers and text 10 people at one time. That's just bad form, right? You don't do that. But what you do is you individually customize a very simple message that just simply says something like, Mark, your friend Joe just got a nicer, newer vehicle for me and wanted to show you their new car. Click here. And then they click on the YouTube video, which, by the way, I do all the Google search and the YouTube search and all the stuff like Sean was showing you. I do all that too for salespeople. So my students are all Googleable. If you put in any of my students, you put King Stinson into Google, you put the public service salesman into Google, you put any of my students, they all rank at the top. They take the whole page. So one of the things that this does is, as a salesman does this, is they capture all these videos, it populates their YouTube, and therefore increases SEO for the dealership. It's a win-win all the way around. Some other questions? Yes, please.
Now, when you go around that conversion, implementing a pay plan, differentiating those different groups, do you run into any problems when it kind of overlaps and stuff?
When you say overlap, what do you mean by that? Like an example.
Like a repeat or a service customer, and they say, well, I sold this guy and you don't have a record. And
well, yeah, so here's the thing. I mean, that's a fantastic question too. Like, just logistically speaking, how do you implement something like that? Well, first of all, a service customer, my philosophy is, a service customer is easy to track, right? Were they in the service department within the last 3 days? And that's the rule that I use. It's an arbitrary one. You can have your own rule. But if they were in service within the last 3 days and you're now selling them a car, and you're telling me that you prospected them from service, you know, unless, again, if you're a liar, we have other issues. But if you're, you know what I'm saying? But if they were in service and you're selling them a car, you know, that's a service customer. Now, obviously, each of these, in the example I gave, had different values, right? So I just pay out whatever's the highest value. If a customer is a repeat and is a service customer, and I pay service customers at a higher rate than I pay repeats, I'm going to pay the salesman the premium rate. Does that make sense? But yeah, I mean, a referral, based on the way that I showed you referrals, I can track all of my referrals. Because those are sheets. So if I get a list of 200 names from you, right, I make a copy, turn it into my manager. If within a month any of those 200 come in to buy a car, you see what I'm saying? That's easy to track. There's a sheet that showed up 2 weeks ago, and now the customer showed up today. Does that make sense? So these things are not that hard to implement if you put attention to them and think about them a little bit. Go ahead.
You touched on this aspect, but share with us, give us an example of the actual psychology like you did with the meeting and greeting.
You loved that, didn't you? Very quickly, thank you for bringing that up, Wesley. I am known for the psychology of selling. And I showed you psychology of marketing today, but I'm also known for the psychology of selling. My meet and greet and my sales approach to customers is very unique. In fact, thank you for complimenting me, Wesley. It's very, very unique, and I'll show you very quickly an example of that. The average salesperson will walk out on the lot, and the psychology of the traditional sales trainer has been how to overcome objections. When a customer says this, you say that. When they do this, you do that, correct? That's normal training. Here's how you overcome this scenario. I don't teach that. I teach how to introduce so you don't have to overcome. What I believe is that if we introduce things properly, we won't have to overcome them later. It's called being proactive. As an example, Stephen, do you mind demonstrating real quick? Stand over here for me. Stephen is a customer. Stephen is out on the lot and he sees me. I'm a car salesman. Stephen, as a customer, will only have 4 psychological responses to seeing a car salesman. Here are the 4 possibilities. Stephen could actually be glad that somebody has come out to say hi to him. Right? That could be his state. He's actually glad a salesman is coming out there. If Stephen is glad, here's the very simple secret you could teach your salespeople. If you look at somebody's feet, their feet will tell you exactly how they feel. Their feet will tell you how to greet. Let me show you what I mean. If he wants to talk to me, what will his feet naturally do when he sees somebody he wants to talk to? They'll walk towards me. So here I am, the salesman. He sees me and he wants to talk to me. He's going to walk up to me. And now I know immediately, just by looking what his feet do, that he feels good about me. Does that make sense? The second kind of customer is somebody who doesn't want to talk, but is more reserved. That's somebody who's simply willing to talk to you. So watch the feet, if you would, real quick. Here's what it looks like. I want to talk. I'm willing to talk. A willing customer is like a statue. They will stay there and let you do all the walking. They won't move towards you. Their body language is saying, I'm willing to hear what you have to say. Please don't be an idiot. That's what this means. This means I want to talk to you. This means I'm willing to talk to you. The next kind, the third, is what I call even more reserved. It's a customer who would rather not talk. A customer whose feet are pointed away from you but not moving is a customer who would rather not talk to you but knows that you have to come out here. So here's the customer walking across the lot and they see the salesman and they do this. And what they're saying with their feet is they're saying, I'd rather go over here, but I know you have to come out here, so please don't be an idiot. That's what this means. The fourth and final customer is the customer who simply doesn't want to talk. And that's a customer who sees a salesman and does this. Right? They move away. Why? Because they don't want to talk. If you look at their feet, the feet will tell you how they feel. The feet will tell you how to greet. I want to talk. I'm willing to talk. Rather not talk. Don't want to talk. Each one is a different customer, which means we have to have 4 greetings, not 1. And the traditional approach in car sales has been to give 1 greeting. Welcome, my name is, and your name is. Please go ahead, Stephen. So here's a typical greeting. Hi there, welcome, I'm Jonathan Dawson, and you are?
Stephen.
Nice to meet you, Stephen. What brought you in a dealership? How can I help you today? Or something like that. That's a typical greeting. Here's the problem, though. If he is a willing or rather not customer, and I force him to shake my hand, you get one of these handshakes. This is weird. This is awkward for both of us now. We better become friends after this, otherwise this is just weird. So if I get a weak handshake from him, right, then I, the salesman, start to feel rejected, which means I now start to get inside my own head, freak out, and the whole sale unravels, all because I got a weak handshake. I got the weak handshake because I forced the customer to touch someone they weren't even ready to talk to. So what I teach is the salespeople need to be proactive. And if I can, here's a very simple example of that. I have a statue customer, that's about 60% of customers. As I walk up, I'm going to respect his space. That's rule number 1. Don't get into his space yet. Rule number 2 is I'm going to not exchange names right away, because if I get his name, easy come, easy go, now I'm wandering around for 20 minutes wondering what his name is. You've all had salesmen. Who's your customer? You've been with him for 20 minutes. What's his name? Guy on a truck, right? So here's how I fix it, and here's what it looks like, something like this. I say, hi, sir, welcome to our dealership. Respect the space. I'm going to stop about here. I say, thanks for coming in. Are you out doing a little bit of looking and some shopping today?
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming out. I'm going to ask and introduce the subject he would use against me. I'm not going to let him say I'm just looking, and then I have to overcome it. I'm going to literally introduce the idea to him so I don't have to overcome it. And it sounds something like this. Welcome to the dealership, sir. Are you out doing some looking and some shopping a little bit today?
Yes.
Thank you for coming out. When you say looking, are you looking more at like product information? You're looking at pricing information, or a little bit of both? What kind of information are you looking for?
Just looking to see what's out here.
So you're in the beginning stages, kind of starting to shop a little bit?
Sort of.
Yeah, fantastic.
Maybe.
Okay. So do we actually get to be your first stop, or have you been to a couple places already?
This is my first stop.
Oh, you chose us first. Thank you for doing that. Of all the different options, is there a particular reason you came to us first compared to anywhere else? Why here?
I'd like this brand.
You're familiar with the brand?
Yeah, I like this brand of automobile.
Oh, fantastic. How familiar are you? Do you have one now, or?
I've had some in the past.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, here's what I'd like to do. I want to be respectful with your time. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions so we can see what we have that might be of interest to you? Just so I can save you some time?
I guess so.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. Thank you for playing along. Have a seat. Okay, so in that very simple example, how many objections did I have to overcome? Say it louder.
0.
So everybody?
0.
And that, you know what? When a salesman learns how to sell without having to overcome objections, they get more excited about greeting customers. And you have salespeople at your dealership right now that literally are on the customer avoidance program. And you say, there's a customer out on the lot, and they look around to see if anybody else is going to go. And that's sad, and it should not be that way, and it doesn't have to be. And that's what the Sellchology is all about. Thank you, Wesley. Thank you so much again for your time and attention. I'll be around all day and tomorrow. Thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you.
If you're convinced that the real market value of your customer will influence and impact the 4 areas of productivity, profitability, longevity, and customer loyalty, then I hope you'll reach out to me. To learn more about Sellchology and myself, please go to Google and just throw the word Sellchology into Google, Sellchology, and you can find out all kinds of stuff about me and what I do for dealers. I look forward to seeing you maybe online or in person in the near future. Thanks, and make it a great day.